Hi, everyone. Today, I'm really excited to see how you can automate performance and load testing with Artillery and Keptn. My name is Jürgen. I'm a maintainer of the Captn project, and today with me is Francesco Lentini from the Artillery team. Hi, Francesco.
Hi, everyone.
And I'm really excited to see what Artillery is, how you can write load tests in Artillery, how you can configure it, and then, of course, how you can run it with Captn. I know you have prepared a couple of slides and a very exciting demo. I had the chance to already see it once. So I'm handing over to you, and please give us a short introduction into Artillery and also how to use it with Captn.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Francesco, and today I'm going to talk to you about how Artillery works, what it is, and how it works with Captn. A little bit about me first. Up until recently, I was an independent contractor working as a Node.js developer. I was helping companies transition to microservice architectures, and I've been using Artillery on several different projects over the last few years, and I'm now part of the Artillery team. So what is Artillery? It's a performance and a load testing tool. It's a command line tool designed to test the performance of backend systems. So we can use it to make sure that our services work as expected, and they can handle traffic spikes and sustain increases in workload by emulating user behavior. This way, it makes it possible to test transactional APIs and complex systems in the same way as your real users would. Out of the box, it supports the most popular protocols like HTTP and WebSockets, and others are supported by plugins. And it already allows you to send metrics to external monitoring systems such as StatsD, InfluxDB, Datadog, etc. This is done through the metrics plugin, which is officially supported, and more target platforms keep being added to it. So Artillery is built on top of Node.js, and while Artillery tests are written in YAML, they can be customized using JavaScript, and they can rely on the NPM ecosystem. So what runs in Node can be run in Artillery, essentially. So test supports hooks that can be used to inject custom JavaScript functions, and they also support constructs like loops and variables. This makes it easily extensible. It's easy to write a custom plugin to fit your needs in case a plugin for your target platform or protocol doesn't exist already. So we have a blog. You should check that out for more in-depth articles. And if you are interested in Artillery or need help with it, or you just want to have a chat about performance testing, you can join our Discord channel. And of course, you can find us on Twitter. So let's have a look at how it works. So, as I said, Artillery tests are YAML files, and they are made of two main sections. One is the configuration, the test configuration, and one contains one or more scenarios. So we can see here our target service, what we're going to hit with our test, and the load phase. This means that this test will run for 2 minutes, and it will start with 5 users per second, and it will ramp up to 10 users per second, and it will sustain this load until the end of the test. Each virtual user that is created will go through this flow. and it will first get a cart, and then it will get the items in this cart, and it will post an item to our cart. I'm using for this test, I'm using the sock shop carts microservice. So if you are familiar with the Captn tutorial, you should be already familiar with it. As you can see here, Artillery supports inline variables. This set of variables will be will be made available in the rest of our scenario, and the values here will be picked randomly for each user. So yeah, let's. Oh yeah. It's also possible to get this data, test data, from external data sources, and out of the box, Artillery already supports reading data from CSV. So it's easy to do something like this. Let's make it like this, and then we can. And then this stuff will read the data from our CSV, and the customer ID variable will be available in the rest of our test scenario. Okay, so running a test in Artillery is as easy as this. And as I said, this will run for 2 minutes, 120 seconds, and Artillery will give us an update of how the test is doing. By the way, since Artillery is a command line tool, it's easy to integrate with your CI/CD pipeline. It supports validation against the aggregate response time latency. So you can do stuff like this. And Artillery will return with non-zero if this condition is not met. If the P95 is more than 100 milliseconds, Artillery will return with a non-zero. If you are interested in how this works, we recently published a detailed article on the blog on how to do this with Circle CI, and how to generate reports, and the pros and cons of this kind of approach, and you should definitely check that out. So our test is running here.
I think that's already pretty powerful to write a whole user scenario with only a couple of lines. I think it's around 10 lines of code, and you have 3 different endpoints that you want to check, and one is even for adding items into a shopping cart.
Yeah.
So this is pretty exciting. I think even having the possibility to define the exact payload for post requests here, and also the integration with the CSV that you showed us, I think it's really powerful to kind of scale the load tests also to really a lot of different users that might have different characteristics.
Yeah, I think the fact that tests are written in YAML make it easier for also non-strictly dev people to read them and modify them. So yeah. And so our test is complete, and we get a report here of how this was doing. We have an aggregation of the response time, and it's also possible to generate a report here that can be used in the report viewer. So you can load the report. This is from a previous run. This report viewer is available as self-hosted, or you can find it online at that URL. and it gives you some graphs and some information about your test run with a lot of colors. So how does all of this fit into the Captn ecosystem? So we just released an integration for Captn, the artillery service. You can find it as part of the Captn sandbox, and it's quite easy to install. You just need to apply the service definition here, and artillery will come with it. You don't need to install anything but apply the service to the cluster. So let's see how it works in detail. I'm going to trigger a delivery here on my cluster.
So I think what I just want to highlight here, while we are waiting for the delivery, what's really cool is that when Francesco is showing the demo, the left-hand side of the demo with the artillery load test will stay the same. So we are using this that we've already seen, doing this from the local machine. We're now using this file. It's already added to Captn, and we're just triggering now Captn. Everything will now run inside Captn and triggered by Captn. But it's basically the same definition. So you don't have to change anything by your definitions. You just add this to the Git repository, and we will see also the benefit of the whole thing just in a minute.
Yes, exactly. That's a good point. The tests that are running, that I just run, are the same that Captn is going to run for us. So the artillery service will react to the test triggered cloud events triggered by Captn, and now it's deploying our service. Let's see what is going to load. So we are on the dev branch at the moment, and we have an artillery configuration that's available for all the stages. So depending on the test strategy, it will trigger a specific resource. So for for this test strategy, which is the functional one, this is the test that we are triggering. So artillery can also be used to do smoke testing via the plugin, the expectation plugin. And this is slightly different from what I showed you earlier. It will just create one single user that will run through all these steps, making sure that our response codes match what we expect. Okay. So for this endpoint, it expects 200. We add an item to our cart, and we expect this. And we can also do some more complex comparisons. So we can capture a variable from the response payload, and we can make sure that that it matches our expectation. Okay, if it doesn't, this bit here will fail, and our delivery will be stopped. It didn't fail in this case, so our delivery is being promoted to the staging part. Okay, so in staging, it's loading. It's using a different scenario. So we can check it here. It is exactly what I showed you earlier. Same set of endpoints, but different configuration.
And I think what's also worth to mention here is that you won't find here the concrete URL that Captn is that's basically, or not Captn, but where artillery is sending the load to. But this is injected, and this is part of the artillery integration with Captn. So that whenever you do a new deployment, and maybe the URL might change, or maybe you want to reuse this test file from staging, also maybe you want to use it in production, you can you can use or reuse the same test files, because the URL will be injected then in basically when the deployment is finished. Captn figured out the URL, then this deployment URL will be used. So you can easily reuse these files. I think that's also really, really powerful.
Yeah, that is correct. Captn will override the configuration here, and it will inject the service URL at runtime. So we don't need to define it as part of our scenario. So our tests are still running. There is no way currently for us to read the artillery output, but it's in the pipeline. So we cannot have an update here of how our tests are doing, but we can, yeah, we can of course get it from our pod. So yeah, that's just completed our test run.
And actually, this can already be done. So there is a change or an update on the status. This can be sent to Captn, and as Francesco said, it's already in the pipeline. So this also all the status changes and all the different updates can be already sent to Captn, and this can be shown here.
Yeah. So the tests have finished, and for staging we have an SLO file here, so we can see that our configuration is defined here. So we have an SLO that is going to be used to by our evaluation step here. Evaluation has passed, and we can have a look at a more detailed view on how Captn does how the quality gates work in Captn. So this is passed. It gets compared to our previous run, and yeah, we can see that that the data is within our thresholds. So our deployment can be promoted to the next stage, which is yeah, production.
And I think what's really powerful here now is that on the one hand side, we've seen how you can do already, let's say, a check directly in Artillery if the tests are successful or not, by adding by using the expectation plugin and doing directly the checks, kind of a smoke test directly in Artillery. But maybe you want to have a larger SLO evaluation, not only on the response time, but failure rate, maybe even some kind of infrastructure metrics like the CPU usage or memory usage. Then it really makes sense to use the Captn quality gates, put all the SLOs into the quality gate, and then after the testing phase, have Captn do the evaluation of the tests and basically of the whole test run, whatever the time was. So if you make it longer, then Captn would also, of course, respect the longer test run and do the evaluation for the longer test run.
Yeah, definitely. You can set up. So Artillery is focused on latency metrics, while with Captn you have a much broader spectrum of metrics you can check with the quality gates.
And I think in this example, the data is coming from Prometheus. So although Artillery does not have the Prometheus integration today, and I know it's on the it's also on the roadmap, but we can still use Prometheus, since we are doing the Prometheus is scraping the data directly from the sock shop application, and so we are kind of taking the round trip.
Yes,
we are firing the load from Artillery to the sock shop. Prometheus is monitoring the sock shop, and Captn is querying data from Prometheus and doing the whole quality gate evaluation on Prometheus. And as we see, we did a couple of test runs, or actually Francesco did a couple of test runs, so we can also see the previous evaluations where we have different kind of data. It's not always 100%. It also depends on the availability of the pod, like the how fast the infrastructure is running, and we can see all the different kinds of evaluations here.
Yes.
It's always good that we have no errors in the sock job application, but it's not always really fast in responding. That's what we see.
Yeah, so exactly. So we just we promoted this to production now, and we just have a light smoke test in production to make sure that all endpoints are working as expected in the same way as dev works. Yeah, and yes.
I think that's pretty cool. Can you show us again the Artillery GitHub repository? Because I just want to highlight how to get started. And it's really easy. The team, and especially Francesco from Artillery, they have done a phenomenal job in providing this integration. And to use this integration, you just have to install this Artillery service into your Captn installation. And you can do this by going to the Captn sandbox on GitHub, going to the Artillery service, and you will have the deployment file. And just with a kubectl apply, you can directly install it into your Captn cluster. And with that, Artillery is already there, already installed. It will listen to all the events for a test triggered events. As you, if you're already familiar with Captn, everything is event-based. And whenever there is a test triggered event, Artillery will, the Artillery integration will start its work, and will actually look for the Artillery files in the Captn Git repository. For the demo, Francesco has already added those files, as we've also seen in the GitHub repository. So I think it's really easy to get started, and also how to write Artillery tests. It's really easy to use. Maybe one question from my end. Are there any best practices on how to write Artillery tests and load tests?
Well, this is from my personal point of view. Not particular best practices on how to write tests in Artillery. Just start as soon as you can. Make it part of your development process. Since it's quite easy to run this from your laptop, it should be part of your development cycle. And then, as we said, once you've got these tests running locally, it's going to be super easy to add them to your Captn sequence. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think so as well. It's really get started with Artillery pretty early. You already get all the HTTP response code as we've seen. So if you already get like the 400s, well, while you're still developing, you can already fix this. It is very, very powerful. And then later on, just add those files to Captn, and you can even build some kind of self-service scenarios with Captn plus Artillery, where just trigger a new delivery with Captn. It will deploy the new version, it will test the new version, and it will give you back the evaluation of the quality gate. So you can either do just a single stage deployment and delivery with Captn. We've seen a more complex one that Francesco built with the multi-stage delivery. But if you want to do it more in the self-service kind of way, just do one stage, deploy it, test it, have a quality gate evaluation, and then you can reiterate often on the quality of the service. Yeah, I think we've seen a lot in this like 20-25 minutes. Thank you so much for presenting this. Is there anything else we should know about Artillery and Captn?
Well, the Captn integration is pretty green, pretty new. So if you're interested in it, please check that out, give it a go, and if we are of course open to contributor. Yeah, we have a roadmap, so if you want to participate in that, please get in touch.
Cool, thank you. Then yeah, I just want to also emphasize this. Please give it a try. I think it's, although it's pretty new, I think it's already pretty powerful, can already be used. please let us know how it goes. You will also find us in the Captn Slack on the slack.captn.sh. We are happy to engage with you there and hear your stories, how you're using Artillery and Captn. Then Francesco, thanks so much for presenting this. Hopefully we hear some success stories pretty soon, and then we can do another video on this. For today, I really want to thank you and give it a try, dear Captn community, and do all your load tests now with Artillery.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.